Hey guys, welcome to Appalachia's Homestead, Patara, with you today answering a few questions. Let's talk about tomatoes, people. Let's talk about tomatoes when we have them early in the ground. Now, depending on where you are, you may have had tomatoes in the ground for 3 months. I get it. We are in the mountains of East Tennessee. So before I even begin, talking to you about how I have such success with tomatoes, I want to let you know you need to understand where you live. You need to know your climate. You need to know your zone. You need to know what works for you. You need to understand the different varieties of tomatoes and all of those things. So this is going to be just bullet points, okay? So I'm out here today, this morning, and I am trimming my tomatoes. Now let me tell you right now, my way of doing tomatoes is not like everybody else. There are 1.62 million videos on YouTube, 45 million blogs, and 365 million opinions on how to grow tomatoes. That's cool. I'm showing you what works for me. Apply any part of it to you that might work for you. So you're going to get our experience, our opinion, and proof in the pudding. So that's the way it goes. I will tell you that I have a little bit of growing good tomatoes in East Tennessee is kind of a pride thing, number one. I know, we're weird like that. Number two, honey, there's nothing better than a homegrown sliced tomato on a plate with some wonderful pinto beans. And I don't care if you don't eat bologna sandwiches, we do, and put it on that fried bologna. I'm telling you. So let's talk about that. Now, I'm not going to talk about varieties and all of that per se, but what I'm going to say is what are some of the basic things that I do that work. My uncle does it, my cousin does it. I have family members back in Knoxville that run and sell in a lot of the farmers market, have for years and years and generations. And, well, we kind of share some of the same theories. First thing is first, you have to love on your tomatoes like a fine woman. What does that mean? She expects a lot of attention. You're not going to put these tomatoes out here in the ground, bare soil, let them grow, and not going to have a problem. Particularly in our climate. You're going to be fired up with blight before you can even think about it. I have not had a blight issue. I had a little bit of one the first year that I moved here, and I made my own homemade spray, and I got rid of it. I was able to save and salvage everything. My neighbor back there didn't have that luck. So since that season, I have kind of been known to be the tomato girl on the mountain because they want to know what I'm doing. What am I doing different? A lot of the things are the same, but here's what I'm telling you. I trim my tomatoes. I do not let them weep on the ground. I don't care if you do that. If you want to do that, that's your business. Most people in my climate that do that, let them run amok, don't have good luck in the end. The next thing that I want to tell you is don't plant more tomato plants than you can absolutely handle. First year I was here, I had 106 plants. Second year I was, yes, 106. Then I went down to 40, 60. Now I'm running comfortably for my family somewhere between 20 and 40. Okay, that is what works for me. I was only going to do 16 this year. That pullback didn't happen. But nonetheless, I use really good cattle panels. There are all kinds of different ways that you can trellis your tomatoes up. Here's what I'm talking about with the pruning and the trellising. Why is that important? It's just not to make it pretty. It's not just to make it convenient. It is to keep them up off the ground, okay? You don't want these leaves weeping and sagging. Let's go over here and look at this one. I'm trying to find one I haven't gotten to this morning. I got out here and was clipping, and I thought, why am I not filming this? Okay, so I don't want this weeping on the ground. So these tomatoes are just now starting to take off, okay? So I'm going to take off some of the ends because what you're going to find is tomatoes grow very, very fast. And in a day or 2 or 3, you go from 0 to 60. And you don't want these leaves touching the ground. That's why they tell you to not water from the top. If you watch a video and somebody's watering tomatoes, or you see a picture of somebody watering tomatoes from the top, like with a garden hose, honey, they've never grown tomatoes, or they keep growing tomatoes that don't work out for them and they don't understand what they're doing wrong. You don't want those leaves to get wet. You don't want to increase your odds of disease. You want to keep the leaves up off the ground. That's why I trim. You also want to come in and you want to pull the suckers off. Suckers, do I have a sucker here? Are you a sucker? Let's see if I can see it right here. Sucker. So I'm going to pinch these suckers off in between the main stem and this right here, okay, you see? You want to pinch those off, okay? Because they steal a lot of energy from your main plant. So that is what you want to do. You want to go through and you'll start getting them as the plant grows. Get them off of there. Don't leave it in the ground, I was just being silly. Okay, so right here, coming in, trimming it off. I don't know if you saw it. Trimming it off. So remember, your tomatoes need to be loved on every day, okay? Even if it's just for 10 minutes. I come out here, I walk through, I look them over, I do a little trimming, I do a little pinching of the suckers. The next thing that I do, like I told you, is, and it's hot. I use these, okay? These are Aqua cones. I just got them out. I haven't put them in the ground yet. I plant my plants, I see how everything's doing, and then I come back with my water cones. We've had a lot of rain, but it's getting pretty hot and dry now, so I'm going to be making these and probably making a video for you to see them. I have a video on them. Some folks use a drip system underneath, or a cone system. Works really well. Remember, I am not talking to you from a CSA or a commercial tomato growing situation. I don't do the Florida weave. I've tried that, didn't work for me. I'm coming to you from a single family homestead that wants to grow 20 or 40 successful tomato plants. This is what works for me. Mulch. Holy cow. Mulch. If you don't do a full-blown back to Eden garden, good on you. Whatever you want to do. Over the years, I have found two things that really help me with my tomatoes. The mulch style, number one, grass clippings. I have been using grass clippings since the very beginning of my major gardening, which has been going on 10 years now. Did a little gardening here and there before then, but I've been going hardcore since. And before we moved up here and got the wood chips, I used grass clippings. I have tons of pictures. I'm going to attach a picture here. In fact, the first season that we were here, I did it for my 106 tomatoes. I did all grass clippings. And you put the grass clippings down, and it makes like this magic carpet. It's great for feeding the soil. You just want to leave a space around the tomato. You don't want to get the grass clippings right up around the tomato. It's very heavy in nitrogen. You don't want to burn anything, okay? So there I would put a little bit of straw or something. But the point is you have a mulch around your tomatoes. That is to continue to protect them from splash from your soil. Why? So you can keep down the possibility of blight and other diseases. Here's another big mistake people make. They get greedy. They get greedy everywhere. That's another conversation. But they get very greedy with their gardens. You have got to give your garden space. I don't care what anybody tells you. I'm telling you what works here. Space, space, space. I do cattle panels, and they are 16 feet long. I, on average, am putting about 2 on each side. I'm stretching it just a little bit to this year. I'm testing it to see if I can do 5 on a couple just to see how it does. But I'm going to have to be trimming. I'm going to have to do that. Why? When you start crowding in those tomato plants and all of their leaves, and the moisture gets in there, and the disease gets in there, you will have disease, and it will run rampant through your garden, and you won't get a single tomato. You might get one that you'll throw to your chickens. So what are the key successes here? Love her like a fine woman, right? Pay attention to her. Evaluate it every day, every other day. 5 minutes every day. Look and see what's going on so you can quickly take care of it, because if you don't, you're going to have trouble. You want really, really, really good mulching in some fashion that works for you. If you can't get wood chips, I highly, highly recommend you use grass clippings, non-treated of course, and apply that. Some folks use a little bit of straw or hay, but you want to be able to keep the disease down. Trim. When they start to grow, final point. When they start taking off because the summer heat has hit, tomatoes need sunlight, they need moisture, but they need heat and they need temperature in this soil. Peppers and tomatoes, they need that. So you can plant your tomatoes in the 1st of April when it's cold outside, and people say, why aren't they growing? Well, it's colder than dickens. They're not stupid. They're gonna wait until it's warm and vibrant for them to grow. That's what it takes, okay? So when they start to do that and they start to take off, again, you gotta start loving on them every day. get them up off the ground, do a little bit of trimming. I use these little clips also, and I clip them to my cattle panels. You can use pantyhose, you can use a soft, like soft ribbons or roping or whatever, something soft, just to keep them tended up onto whatever you're trellising them on. Okay. Another thing that you want to consider, last but not least, is I use a tomato food. Before I used, I would buy an organic fertilizer, tomato plant fertilizer, but I would also use eggshells. I'm very good with putting coffee grounds out here just to help amend my soil. And I also use Epsom salt. But tomatoes are very specific in some of their needs. I have a video on tomato plant food. Fabulous. It's a great mix that you can make at home. It's all made by you. We love it. We use it. It was very, very good for us last year. I'm very much looking forward to what we're going to see this year. These are simple steps, but it's just like everything else with homesteading. You can't just throw it out there and expect it to perform for you. You can't go on a diet for 3 days and expect to lose 50 pounds. You have to tend to it every day. Pay attention to her. She's just like a fine woman. If you like this video, like and subscribe. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. We'll see how all this does this year. Last year was booming. Booming. The best year we've ever had. For the amount of plants that we had, I have a video up down there on I've got several on cattle panels, tomato plants, our Back to Eden garden. The growth was amazing. I guess I'm just going to be the tomato girl. All right. I hope this helps you out. Check us out on Facebook. We'll talk to you soon. Gotta work. Gotta work. That is what Granny did, and that is what homesteaders do. We'll talk to you soon.